Good day, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar to all participants. Particularly warm welcome to the entrepreneurs that are with us today. It is my pleasure and honor to moderate this event that we have entitled Leading Climate Action Through Innovative ICT Solutions, Insights from UNIDO Supported Startup. My name is Patrick Nussbaumer, and I work for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. It is my pleasure to be with you today. The objective of this event is to inspire and encourage climate startups that are using information and communication technology, and to entice those to pursue their ambition and apply to the climatic run, which I will describe in a moment. We are very glad to work with the government of Egypt in this process. And just a few words about the format of this webinar. The core of this event will be dedicated to the showcasing of two startups, following a quick introduction from me. And then we will have an opportunity to have a Q&A session with the two founders of those startups. So I invite the audience to post questions into the chat, questions addressed to the two startups that are with us. And I also invite the audience to interact through the chat, introduce yourself, tell us about you, where you are from, to make this event as lively as possible. I would like to note, before we proceed, that this event is recorded. Colleagues, by way of brief background, the ClimaTech Run is led by the government of Egypt, the Ministry of International Cooperation, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. It is a process that is in place in the context of the hosting of the climate conference in Sharm el-Sheikh in November later this year. And the ClimaTech Run is essentially a multi-stage program for tech entrepreneurs. It is a competition, if you wish, a competition for startup with support available, but also prizes, including funding. What we are looking for in the context of this process is innovative tech-based solutions that are active in the space of food security, renewable energy, agriculture, water management, urban sustainability, and transportation. We're looking for the application of ICT in climate action. So this initiative, the ClimaTech Run, is going to offer support, services and funding to accelerate promising ICT startups that are sharing that goal, which is climate action through innovative ICT solution. Our role as UNIDO in this context is to work alongside the Egyptian counterparts and contribute to the ClimaTech Run. And we do this notably by showcasing ventures that have received similar services in the past. So this is the purpose of this event today. And we do this with the objective to entice startups to engage in the ClimaTech Run. Progress by innovation is UNIDO's motto. With that as a background, we offer various services to promote and accelerate sustainable industrial economic development in frontier markets. Just to mention a few, the Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, GCIP in short, promotes clean tech innovation and entrepreneurship. In partnership with the Global Environmental Facility, we nurture and accelerate early stage companies with the objective to bring those solutions to the market. We also work with partners, notably BFA Global, to offer venture building and seed investments to fintech-enabled climate adaptation solutions. UNIDO also offers investment facilitation services through the Private Financing Advisory Network, supporting early stage and growth companies on investment readiness. We also work with financing institutions to design and establish financing vehicles that are specifically dedicated to investment in SME that are creating a positive climate impact. Today, we would like to showcase two ventures as illustrative examples, and we would like to hear their stories, hear about the opportunities and the challenges that they are facing, that they have faced and still facing, as well as their experience in engaging with support programs like the ones that I just mentioned. So with this as background, I would like to introduce the two speakers of today's webinar. First, we will hear from Dave Okech, the founder and CIO of Aquarec. Aquarec is using cutting-edge information technology to enable fish farmers, fish feed manufacturers, fish traders to work together and incorporate sustainable farming practices. Dave, thank you very much for being with us. The second speaker today is Chintan Soni, who is a co-founder of and the CEO of Equilibrium. And Equilibrium is deploying technology-driven sustainability solution to balance energy consumption, operational dynamics, and environmental impacts, and helping companies to identify and achieve net zero carbon goals. Chintan, thank you very much for being with us as well.
My pleasure.
Without further ado, I would like to turn to Dave, please, to tell us about Aquatech and tell us about the journey that you went through to bring Aquatech to where it is. Dave, thank you very much for making the time, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. You know, before Zoom, they used to say the floor is yours. Nowadays, they say the screen is yours, but probably it means the same thing. Appreciate the opportunity to share my story of how Aquarec is enabling small and medium-sized fish farmers in Kenya to improve their productivity and become more climate resilient through continuous adaptation of climate smart technology. So my name is Dave Okech, CIO Aquarec. We are building Kenya's first fish farming platform. 4 years ago, I was a fish farmer in Lake Victoria. I was practicing cage fish farming. And out of that process of developing or growing the farm, some of the challenges that we were facing as a community of fish farmers was access to top quality feeds was a preserve of the large commercial farms because they had the ability to import and verify the quality of the feed. Market channeling our fish produce to the market due to the unstructured nature of market systems in Kenya, we had a struggle on that. But on the other side, there was excessive demand of fish, but we couldn't meet the traders on the other side of the equation. Access to technology that can help us to achieve or to practice what we call good aquaculture practices that would enable us to improve our productivity was far away, largely because of the lack of systems that could be accessible or missing for farmers to access the technology. And so in that process, an idea came. How could we, as farmers, through a click of a button, access the inputs that we need, manage our farms more efficiently and sell our fish. And that is what gave birth to Aquarage, an IoT-powered platform that allows small and medium-sized fish farmers to access top quality feed, sell their fish, practice precision fish farming, and this will lead to increased income and build their resilience to climate change. So our platform basically, the innovation basically provides three main solutions. One, you have an inbuilt e-commerce platform that allows you as a smallholder farmers to access top quality feeds that are produced by the best in the world. And that will give you access to better feed conversion ratio, which will gradually and optimally increase the growth factor of the fish. You have the ability to sell your fish on the platform simply by a click of a button. So the platform connects small and medium-sized fish farmers directly to the market. And what we do as a company is to provide the necessary infrastructure, which is a cold chain facility for aggregating this fish that are produced by small and medium-sized fish farmers, which is then channeled out into the market. Critical to the success of this innovation has been the use of technology to practice what is called data-driven fish farming in Kenya. What we are providing is a data management platform that allows small and medium-sized fish farmers to record daily production matrices, such as quantity of feed fed, mortality, and over a period of time, the technology is able to give farmers performance indicators of the farm, things to do with FCR, the average daily growth, and the production cost that they are incurring. Again, critical to that, prior to this innovation, farmers were using handheld thermometers basically to, go and measure water temperature and get the water temperature out of the pond or the cage to use for calculating how much feed they should be feeding. However, due to human nature, as we all grow lazy doing things, this became a challenge because a farmer will do it once and then assume that is the temperature throughout the year. But cognizant of the fact that we are living in the times of climate change, and water temperature is one of the key performance indicators for fish farms, meaning a change in the climate of 1 or 2 degrees, which affects the water temperature, directly impacts how much feed fish can consume in the farm. And what farmers will then be required to do is to adapt to that change in water temperature and so optimize the quantity of feed they're giving the fish. Excess feeding of the fish due to lack of measuring of water temperature will lead to losses and high cost of fish. On the other side, less usage of the feed will also lead to losses because it will prolong the growth of the fish. And so water temperature added by size of fish and stock of fish provide critical matrices for determining how much feed the farmer should feed. And this is what we automated by bringing in an IoT-powered water sensor that will relay the water temperature from the farm into the application, which will then calculate for the farmer and determine for him how much feed he should feed in that particular day. That is what we call precision fish feeding. We are in the process of doing R&D into this technology. We are looking at collaboration with the companies that can help advance where we are. There are already technologies that have gone into much better phases than where we are, and we want to make the technology much better than what we have. But that has been the journey so far. Further to this, we have a buy now, pay later model that enables small and medium-sized fish farmers to access our feed on credit. And through our fish buyback system, we are then able to deduct the cost of that feed in the process. As a result, you bring what is called financial services to the population of small and medium-sized fish farmers who will otherwise not get credit financing from the mainstream banking system, but are now able to get critical credit finance to continue producing and remain more resilient during the long 10 months production cycle, And for that matter, we are able to provide fintech solution to or financial services through technology to small and medium-sized institutions. All this credit financing solution is offered on the application, and this gives the farmers direct access to that. Next, please. So, like I said, some of the obstacles we have faced in the process of developing and implementing climate smart technology fish farming in Kenya has been, we had to go through a lot of training to help farmers understand the role of technology and make it as simple as possible. That requires a lot of investment in training and capacity building and sensitizing farmers on the need to be climate smart, because climate is directly affecting fish feeding habits. Of course, this technology requires funding. How do you source for funding at the early stage when you are ideating and scaling up the technology before it becomes commercial? Lack of access or inadequate funding was and is still a challenge to many, as we also faced it during the early days when we were pivoting and piloting our technology. Then partnerships, what role, who in the MNO, mobile network operators can partner with you, or service providers that will be willing to work with you the journey. The journey is normally very long. So getting the right partners on board is a challenge, but at least what we have seen, telecommunication companies and ICT companies are starting to come into that space, and there's now more, understanding on the role of ICT in aquaculture. We were lucky to have received extraordinarily gracious support from BFA Global Catalyst Fund, who are focused on working with us because of our climate tech solution and fintech solution, which were bundled together on the application. And through BFA Global Catalyst Fund, we have been able to build our product at a much faster scale. The Catalyst Fund has significantly helped us in one, business development. For example, they facilitated us through repayable loan of $100,000 for us to acquire cold chain facility that has enabled us to achieve more vertical integration of the technology, meaning we were able to now offer a complete package for small and medium-sized farmers to guarantee market access and churn these aggregated fish through our bulking centers to the fish traders, again, who are acquiring and accessing that fish through the use of mobile app technology. BFA has helped us build the networks, some of which now where we are in with UNIDO, showcasing our innovation to the world. We have also been able to get business model development, especially for a long time, we struggled with what is called the financial model of aquarage. How are we generating money? Who is paying for it, where, and at what cost? And how does our financial model look like that we can be able to present to an investor to understand our revenue model and our costing and look at the projections in the near future? Courtesy of BFA, we've gotten those services. We have managed to position ourselves, again, thanks to BFA, as a partner to feed producers and not as a competitor. It was a kind of a mind shift, because initially we were struggling was, are we competitors to the fish feed producers, or are we actually partners with them? What we've managed to understand is we are actually collaborators and partners, because we provide feed manufacturers the platform through our last mile distribution system to the large customer base that they have, the rural smallholder farmers. And of course, we also received working capital that has helped us in growing the team and putting up the necessary systems in place. Practically, we moved from online accounting system, from offline accounting system to online accounting system, courtesy of the BFA fund. That is the kind of support that we have tremendously got from BFA Catalyst Fund. Patrick, thank you very much. I will be open to any question, and I hope I have done justice to the presentation. Thank you.
This is fantastic. Thank you very much, Dave. To me, it seems that innovation is around at least 3 dimensions. No? One, it is helping you connect the value chain, no? The input, the farmers, and then the traders. So that is one aspect. Another aspect is the gathering, the managing, and understanding of the data so that you can make better decisions, including around the changing climate. And then thirdly is the financial services, which allows you to interact with the clients in a way that is cost effective. That makes a lot of sense to me, to us, I guess. And you have applied this now to fish farming. Would you see potential for similar innovation in other areas or other sectors? Would you can you share that? I mean, obviously you come from the fish subsector yourself, but I'm sure you have put some thoughts into what else could we do with innovation of that kind.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yes, the innovation we have developed on the aquaculture side is very much replicable on other agricultural and livestock value chains. In an era where climate change is real and is impacting and affecting livelihoods, productivity, market systems, all these on the lives of farmers globally, innovation, ICT continues and will continue to play a significant role in building farmers' resilience to climate change. I will say that we live in a world where data-driven agriculture is the only way to go. Without data, you can't make meaningful decisions as a farmer, weather forecasts. When you look at the horticultural sector, and let's take an example, Africa, which is largely rain-fed agriculture at large, data on the weather forecast really determines a lot on productivity or food production systems that we have. And so ICT continues to play and will continue to play a lot on that front. When it comes to market systems, you have the physical or the conventional market systems that have existed over a period of time, physical infrastructure, but then we are now looking at virtual market systems that are also technology driven. Farmers must be able to access markets at the comfort of their phones. When it comes to giving farmers financial services, it's all going to boil down on data that farmers have, and that data is ICT or IT generated. So how do we build platforms that can generate sufficient data that will guarantee or warrant commercial banks or institutions to then finance the agricultural sector based on the data that they're generating? So yes, it is applicable across other agricultural and livestock value chain. We are just looking at IT, but there is AI technology that needs to come into place, and that's already coming. There are so many other technology platforms that are critical towards improving productivity and increasing market access to farmers.
Thank you, Dave. You have described the type of services that you have received and benefited from, notably from BFA Global. Dave, you are in a process with stakeholders that are there to help to the extent that they can. What would be your message? In other words, what would you need to take your business to the next level from here onwards?
Yeah, I think accelerators have played and continue to play a very critical role to startups that are coming up in all the sectors, be it agricultural sector or other. And so for startups that are out there, getting yourself into some of these accelerators like the BFA Catalyst Fund Accelerator is quite important and quite helpful, because they will provide the services that no other organization will provide currently. I mean, if you go to the banks, they will give you money, but they will not provide the kind of business development services that accelerators will then provide. The kind of networks that will come with joining accelerators like that, that will lead you to, build the networks. Your network is your network. The less network you have, the less worthy you are in this world. The more networks you have, the more you can explore, and that is how your network also comes in. Accelerators will also help you, to product development, some which you might not get through other services. So I think jumping on good accelerators is critical for startups that are looking at getting that support system for them to grow, because accelerators will then provide you that platform.
Thank you, Dave. One more question, a quick one. Dave, there are a few entrepreneurs listening to your story at the moment, and that will listen to your story as this webinar is being recorded. What is the one tip that you would give to a fellow entrepreneur that is possibly, at the early stage of your journey? So what, from your experience, what is the one tip that you want to give a young entrepreneur wanting to deploy a product or a service in this space?
Well, one thing I normally say is that you must be prepared for a very long and lonely journey. There's no way around about it. It's long and lonely, but that is where you come in as an entrepreneur. The resilience that you are going to put up in that long and lonely journey, where even the thing that you believe in, sometimes you lose a hope in it and ask yourself, do I really believe? Did I get my belief in the right position as an entrepreneur? So, but by you believing in the route that you're taking, and by you going out there, sometimes I get entrepreneurs who ask, should I keep my idea with myself because somebody is going to run away with it when I join an accelerator, etc., etc. I mean, if you keep that idea to yourself in the name of that it is so great, it's going to revolutionize the world, it will just remain within you, and your great world. But you need to join a team of, if it is mentors or if it is social like-minded platforms that can help you build your idea, and reach out to other, entrepreneurs who have excelled in certain areas, and hear from them, and build your network, and continue believing in that idea, however foolish it is. It is only foolish once it is proven by that it's not working, but until that, it remains the most brilliant idea for you on the planet. So keep pushing and build the networks. Networks really help in terms of providing us with the platforms to ideate and scale. And I believe now, UNIDO, with what you have stated in the introduction, Patrick, this will be a very good platform for upcoming entrepreneurs to share their ideas and get the support and the advisory and the financing that they need to get their ideas to scale. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dave, for sharing those insights with us, telling us about your story, opportunities, and challenges. Much appreciated. I would like
Thank you.
Thanks. I would like now to turn to Shintan Soni from Equilibrium. And before I ask a question, I just would like to remind the audience that you have the opportunity to interact amongst each other, but also ask questions to the two speakers of today's webinar. So feel free to jump on the chat, share your thoughts, ask your questions. We will take those right after the intervention by Chintan. Chintan, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Same, we would like to hear your story. We would like to hear your journey. And if you don't mind, to start with, if you could tell us about your company, talk to us about the products that you are bringing to the market, the solution that you are bringing, and the issue that you are solving. We will take it from there. Thanks, Chintan.
Sure. Thank you very much, Patrick. And Dave, it was fantastic to hear about your story. And you've covered most of my tenure of entrepreneurial journey in like a couple of minutes. And so congratulations to you and the team for
Thank you.
holding on as every entrepreneur does. Right? So Patrick, just to give you a background, we are a 9-year-old organization, started in India. We are right now in the process of expanding across geography and now expanding into Asia Pacific and Europe. And I'm right now in India, trying to get through the immigration process to take my family to the UK, where we are moving in the next couple of weeks. So exciting times ahead. But like I said, we are a 10-year-old organization, around 60 people today, across 2 continents, Europe and UK and India. What we do is we work with medium and large industrial and commercial enterprises and help them through their sustainability journey, and especially focusing on decarbonization, which is, if you look at the entire sustainability market right now, every enterprise is focusing on ESG as their sort of go-to goal to measure themselves and how sustainable they are. And we focus on ESG, but mainly on E, and that's where our core is, where we help enterprises go through the entire sustainability journey, focusing on net zero carbon. And to do this, we've built a platform which is called Smart Sense. And this platform is a technology-led decarbonization platform, which helps enterprises baseline what their carbon footprint is, and then using machine learning technology drives the carbon footprint down to a level that it can then the customers can then start looking at offsetting their carbon footprint. So we go through the process of defining what their sustainability strategy is, build a blueprint of what they should do to be able to be ESG compliant, and not just ESG compliant, but build a complete blueprint for them to be able to get to net zero carbon. The platform that we've built focuses on 3 most important component of a business. And just to give you an idea of what we really believe in as a team, is to be able to create sustainable prosperity for our customers. And I'm focusing on prosperity because a lot of people think that it should be sustainable profitability. And we're saying that we are replacing profitability with prosperity because it is long-term, right? And to be able to do that, we believe that there has to be a balance between people, planet, and profit. You would like to go through the entire net zero carbon and be more green, but not at the cost of profitability, and not at the cost of not taking the team along and upskilling them through the entire process. And what Dave said was very insightful, which is today it is important for people to take decisions based on data and not on intuition. And that's what we do for industries and buildings. We look at the data from a building or a factory. We look at how they're performing. And like I said, we focus on three pillars of any business. First is operational excellence. Second is sustainability. And the third is workplace. So if I sort of very briefly expand on each of them, sustainability means how do you reduce your carbon footprint? Where are the opportunities for you to be more efficient? Where are the leakages? How do you plug these leakages? And make sure that you are at an optimal level of carbon footprint. Second is operational excellence, which means that what is the cost of which at you run your operations? How do you reduce your cost of operations? Which means, are the equipments that you have in your factory or the building efficient? Are they healthy? Are they being maintained at the right time, at the right schedule? And how do you make sure that your operations are completely efficient? And the third is workplace. You look at any building or a factory, you want to make sure that the workplace for the employees or the team that is working in the building or the factory is absolutely productive, which means that we look at indoor air quality, we look at humidity, noise level, lux levels, and create a human wellness index so that you are most productive with the environment that you have in the building. Now, if you look at what is happening in the market, right? I mean, there are 25 countries who have sort of come forward and said that we are going to be net zero as a country or as a city or as a council in, let's say, 2050, 2060, right? And that's an obligation not only for the country, but also for individual enterprises, buildings, factories, and over a period of time, this will percolate down to individuals like you and me. We have to start looking at our carbon footprint, right? And what is happening today is because of the countries taking lead in pledging their net zero carbon goals, the industries and buildings and the enterprises have also started to look at when can they be net zero. And they've already given out commitments. So a lot of our customers have come back and said that, you know, we want to be net zero carbon by 2040, for example, or 2035. But the challenge is, how do you get there? How do you make sure that you get to net zero carbon? And our belief is for you to be able to get to net zero carbon, you first need to know where you are. And so it's absolutely important to understand what your current carbon footprint is. And that's the step that we take initially with our customers. And once we know where they are, we help them drive efficiencies and help them go through the entire decarbonization process by looking at where are they consuming energy, why, where are the leakages, and what should they do to plug these leakages. And for this, we built machine learning algorithms for 41 different kind of equipments like motors, compressors, transformers, pumps, so on and so forth, furnaces, boilers. And these algorithms identify any sign of degradation and gives out recommendation in terms of what they should do to fix these degradation. And when they do this, it helps them on two counts. One is it avoids downtime, and the second is it makes them more energy efficient. It's like a car, right? When you buy a car, the car manufacturer tells you that you have to get your car serviced every 10,000 kilometers, and so you go and get your car serviced every 10,000 kilometers, right? But you really don't know whether the car has a problem at 2,000 kilometers or at 10,000 kilometers, the car is perfectly fine. You don't need to get it serviced at all. And if there is a problem at 2,000 kilometers, it starts to consume more fuel, which means that you are more inefficient. And this is exactly the same thing that happens with electrical and mechanical equipments like compressors, transformers, pumps, and so on and so forth. And this is where we help them sort of achieve efficiency. Now, imagine you have a factory, and in a factory, you have a small motor at the tail end of the entire process, which breaks down. If this breaks down, the entire process stops. If it is a continuous process, it actually means that you will lose the material that you are using in the entire process. So even a small equipment failure is absolutely detrimental to the profit or the top line of the factory. Right?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So we understand the service that you offer, which is around improving resource efficiency in industry, and you do that relying on data, ICT, and machine learning and tech solution, which is fantastic. Chintan, can we take a couple of minutes to talk about your company? Now, you mentioned at the beginning 10 years that you are in business. Can we spend a little bit of time understanding how you got to where you are and what it has taken and what support you have received, what support you haven't received and you would have wished that it was available? So if you could share that with us, I think that would be informative to the audience.
Sure. So Patrick, we started, like I said, 9.5 years back. And when we started this business we built this technology, cloud was something that nobody understood, and especially on the shop floors of factories and buildings, right? So I would get questions like, oh, you're using cloud, but what if it rains? What if the cloud moves from one location to another? And that's the level of immaturity that we've gone through. And it was a learning process for us. And we understood that it is not about just selling, but it is also about educating. And I think even today, educating the client in terms of using data and focusing on data-driven decisions is absolutely important. But coming back to the organization, we started in India in a small city called Ahmedabad, where we built this technology. We expanded in India. We have 140 clients today across Asia Pacific and UK. We manage close to 30 GB of data every day. And we get data from close to 40,000 equipments across our portfolio. And we've been able to create an impact of anywhere between 15 to 25% of energy efficiency, around 40% reduction in manpower deployment, and almost 25% in terms of reducing maintenance cost. We have a team of data scientists. We have a team of software developers. Our global headquarters now is based out of the UK, and that's where we are expanding right now.
Excellent, Chintan. Thank you very much. Same as with Dave. If you had one tip to give a fellow entrepreneur, what would it be in 30 seconds?
Well, I think Dave covered a good amount of it, but my personal experience is that as an entrepreneur, what one should have in mind is how to build resilience of the business. And we're talking about effects of climate change, we're talking about effects of recession, we're talking about effects of market, if you're talking about effect of wars as we currently are experiencing. But I think as an entrepreneur, what one needs to keep at the back of your mind always is how to be resilient. And for that, the unit economics of the business is absolutely important. And we've gone through a tough time during the COVID, 2 years of COVID. And the reason we sort of came out was we had very strong unit economics.
Fantastic, Chintan. Thank you very much to you as well for sharing your story, providing insights on your business, the services, and the impact that you make with the product that you have out there. We will move on to the Q&A part of the event, and I'll invite Dave to come back into the discussion, and also invite the audience to post any questions you might have into the chat that we can put forward to Chintan or Dave. Dave, Chintan, we are talking about here, in some cases, relatively advanced technologies. And I will be keen to discuss a little bit on how the uptake of those high-tech solutions is in the stakeholders that you're dealing with. So the farmers, the traders in the case of Dave, but also the industries, no? The companies in the case of Chintan. So how is this received? Is that easy to deploy those technologies, that well received? Talk about capacity needs that there might be there. If you could shed some light on those issues, that would be most welcome.
Yeah, maybe I can share some light. There are normally two phases of technology. One is the user interface of the technology, and the other is the back end of the technology. And the complexity of the technology normally arises from making sure the user interface of the technology is as simple and basic to the user, to the extent that when he experiences the technology, he doesn't get a brain crash. I mean, when you say your technology supports precision feeding, it basically means it needs to capture the daily routine of a farmer and make it simple. And that's the beauty of technology. It's supposed to make your daily experience very simple, so you don't have to struggle to adapt to it. Actually, it's supposed to adapt to what you're doing and make you change your course to the right or the appropriate way it's supposed to be done to make it more efficient, make it more affordable and available. But that's one bit of it. The backend that requires the entrepreneur to invest in developing affordable and accessible is where the complexity comes in. And that's where entrepreneurship struggles with, because it requires financial resources. It also requires building partnerships. It also requires R&D. I can imagine what Chintan has done over the 9 years to just get a system that can manage 30 GB of data from 40,000 devices. That's crazy. There's a lot of work that goes into that. And so as an entrepreneur, sometimes when you have the idea and you've already, the donkey work and the hard work comes when you have to convert that idea into a usable product or service. And the kind of resources that you need are not available financially, and you have to look for financial support. The kind of infrastructure you need are not available locally, and you have to look at development partners like UNIDO to come in, BFA to come in, and all these people to come in to help you grow your technology. Patrick, without deviating much into the original question, I think those are the two areas that I would say as an entrepreneur, you really need to be quite succinct on how you are going to tackle them so that you don't waste a lot of time and you exploit the the available resources that you can get at your disposal. But this is where accelerators also come in to help. I think so.
Thank you, Dave. Chintan, a view on technology uptake from your client's perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we operate, Patrick, in a quite complex environment. I mean, you look at a factory which is producing 100,000 vehicles, for example, to a building which is just 2 floors. So you see the variation in complexity of what we address. And I think from the stakeholders' perspective, net zero carbon or ESG is not an option anymore. It's a mandate that everybody is looking at, and the partners or the customers that we're talking to, especially the CXO level, not only now after the financial matrix, it's actually the ESG matrix that is going to matter the most. And so there is a lot of pressure from all different directions for the key stakeholders from our customers. So from that perspective, it becomes easier for us to now sell because of the entire climate tech ecosystem, or COP26 that has driven this, and that the next COP26 is happening in Egypt. Looking forward actually to be there. And it's easier for now than a year before for buy-in from the stakeholders. And this makes it even easier in terms of implementation of technology, because there's a clear alignment from the top till down to the last engineer of the organization. We can actually onboard a building in a matter of 2 days to a week max, a very large building, because the infrastructure is already existing. So we are a retrofit, so that makes it a little easier for us in terms of implementation, and even in terms of the uptake. I think we sort of in the right time, at the right place right now.
Great, thank you. One question from the chat. Both of your companies benefited to some extent from support services along the way, and you have both been in business for a number of years now. Have you seen any trends when it comes to those support services? How those have evolved? Are they becoming more helpful, less helpful, more scattered, more coordinated? And how would you wish to see this evolve? And I'm asking this in the context of this process leading to the COP with another support mechanism becoming available. So if you have thoughts to share with us, Chintan, Dave.
Sure. I can go first if you like. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of example of what we went through with UNIDO in India. UNIDO had arranged cluster sort of skill assessment and also promotion of clean technology in clusters in India. So we actually went with the UNIDO team on a roadshow, which was almost 1.5 months. So we were covering 2 cities every week and bringing the clusters together, telling them about, and especially the steel rolling mills in India. That was sort of the theme. And after that entire roadshow, we actually were able to build a product around steel rolling mills, and we were able to create a huge impact in their businesses in terms of cost reduction as well as efficiencies. However, this was physically done, which means that every day or every second day we were in a city having a seminar physically. But what has really helped is the entire thing become virtual. We are able to now communicate with potential customers thanks to UNIDO on a much larger scale, like today. And that helps us build the network that Dave has been talking about very efficiently and much faster.
Thank you, Chintan. Dave? Dave, you're on mute.
Dave, you're on mute, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say some of the ways we have managed to grow has also been by the network that BFA has brought. So let's say we had a session of discussions with some of the much established companies that have used integrated technology into the platform. Case in point is we had a session with e-fishery from Indonesia, one of the startups that has raised the largest funding in the aquaculture space. So I think over $100 million right now in funding to scale up their technology in the aquaculture space, and borrowing their their experience in developing and deploying the technology. It has helped shape our approach into how we are going to grow. Really, for startups technology, the real question sometimes is, what does a scale look like? Because technology needs to scale. And what does scale look like? That's another jargon that if you don't have it clearly dissected, I mean, we were struggling with that. What does scale look like to Aquarage? How do we grow beyond the boundaries of Kenya? Because the technology needs to be scaled for it to have significant impact. And sharing from success stories from Indonesia, an example like e-fishery, has been fantastic, courtesy of BFA that has helped us have that platform. Again, we are also looking at collaboration with a Japanese company called Omitron that has really perfected, not perfected, I would say, but has really progressed faster on AI in aquaculture. And they have used that to do a lot on fish growth management, feed efficiency, and reduced negative impact of feed on the climate in terms of greenhouse gas emission. So building on those platforms and developing those partnerships is one of those clear cases we have noticed. And now, in our discussion with the likes of Omitron in Japan, what we're looking at is developing an African context sort of product, because the spheres are different. The Japanese fishery system and the Sub-Saharan Africa fishery system are a bit different. So, but how do we leverage on what they have already done and borrow that and develop something that works within the African setup? Those are the two examples I would say of how we have leveraged on the networks. Yeah.
Fantastic, Dave. Most useful. We're coming towards the end of this session. Chintan, Dave, participants. The international community met in Glasgow last time and declared this decade as being critical when it comes to climate change, and made explicit the need to scale up action on the ground. And the Egyptian counterpart in the hosting of this climate conference is taking this at heart and framing the discussions and negotiation from the perspective of moving from pledges to action. So it is their vision to accelerate action for climate change, both on mitigation and adaptation, and also increase the flow of finance that is required for that climate action. So in that context, this process is handy. It is an exciting time, I feel, because not only there are key development on technologies related to climate, renewable, for example, but there are also exciting development on ICT technologies, and the convergence of those development is opening the door to businesses that were unthinkable before. So we're able to connect demand and supply easier. We're able to make the most of data, informed decision. We are able to remote maintain some applications. We're able to interact with the clients via cost-effective means. So it is an exciting time, and there are a lot of opportunities out there. We hope that we have been able to illustrate this with bringing those two examples. So thank you, Dave and Chintan, for sharing your story. I also would like to thank the government of Egypt to allow us to partner in this process and contribute to this process. Thank you as well to the initiatives and the partners that are supporting this session, GCIP, BFA Global, and PFAN, notably. Also, a warm thank you to Rashmi Yavaha, who has designed and put together this session. And also thank you to the audience for joining us today or listening to this webinar as it is recorded. Left to me is to wish good luck to the entrepreneurs that are engaging in the ClimaTech Run. Wish them good luck and wish Dave and Chintan also good luck for the next step of their journey. And we hope that we have been able to inspire and encourage ICT-enabled climate startups to pursue their ambition, come closer to the ClimaTech Run, as well as other support mechanisms that are available out there. So with this, I will close the session. Dave and Chintan, again, thank you for sharing your story and being with us today.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate it.
All the very best. Wishing you a good day.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.